Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you're having a lovely time. You definitely deserve it. And if you've been having a rough time, I feel you. And this video is for you because, as you all kind of know, I use these videos sort of as a life update, but I try and make them relevant to other people as well. So today we're commonplacing a little interesting, I don't know, I just randomly came across it on Tumblr. It talks about vampires versus fairies and kind of points out the fact that they're never paired together in media, or at least not very often. Also, if you hear minor explosions, I'm recording this the day before 4th of July. In a state where fireworks are very, very legal, so they go hard here, and it's a little early, but they like to celebrate. But yeah, it talks about vampires and fairies and how they're not really often seen in media together, and kind of juxtaposing elements of each and kind of how they're opposites, which I found very interesting. Random Tumblr post, I'll link it down below. But kind of for the voiceover, I wanted to kind of talk about how I got out of a really bad mental health slump and kind of hope that there's maybe some nuggets of goodness for other people in here as well. I would not say I'm someone whose mental health is consistently poor. I like to stay pretty on top of it. I journal, I've been to therapy, so I have a lot of good coping mechanisms in my tool belt and my toolbox that I can reach for. But yeah, the last month or two, it was getting bad. And, yeah, so I'm kind of coming out of it now. Obviously, I don't want to jinx it. And some things take time, and mental health is very much a roller coaster, and there will be good days and there will be bad days, but we're starting to have more good days than bad days. And I think one of the most important things that helped me in this kind of wave of not feeling good was remembering, because it depends, you have to ask yourself, what is making me stressed, what is making me not feel good? And for me, I was very overwhelmed and stressed with a lot of adult responsibilities, moving into a new apartment, figuring out setting up utilities, getting a job, doing a lot of chores, figuring out the balance of chores with my boyfriend, just lots of adulting and lots of responsibilities. And then I went from having a work from home job that was remote to having an in-person job that is similar in hours, but it pays less and it's in person, and it's a restaurant job. And so I was kind of having to deal with, I'm in between right now and kind of coping with that. So I was really stressed with adult responsibilities. And I think one of the most impactful things a therapist has ever said to me was that it's very common. We all get so overwhelmed with life. We feel like life doesn't stop. If you're sitting there and you're thinking, I just want a break. I just want to pause. I just want everything to stop. I'm so overwhelmed. I need a break. I just need the world to stop turning for 2 seconds so I can take a deep breath. My therapist always encouraged me to ask myself if I can find some time to set down my responsibilities, not get rid of them, because a lot of the times we wish we didn't have as many responsibilities as we do, but unfortunately in adult life there's a lot of things that you can't get rid of. So she always encouraged me to say and ask myself, is there time where I can put down my responsibilities temporarily and look at all the people in my life and say, I'm taking this time for myself. Do not look at me. Do not bother me. Don't talk to me. Can you, some of us have to go places, and obviously everyone's different, right? If I don't have kids, I have a boyfriend, I live with him, he's not exactly high maintenance, but I don't have kids, and days like that when I was living with my niece, the niece wants to play, it's a kid, it was a little bit harder, but can you look around your life and find a safe space and tell people, I'm just gonna take some time for myself? And so what I did was I had 2 days off in a row, and I had a crap ton of, like, I had stuff to do. I had errands to run, but I just looked at myself and I said, I'm not doing any of it. I called it a do nothing day. I was like, I'm not doing a single freaking thing. I think by the end of the day, I was feeling a lot better and less overwhelmed, that, like, I was able to do, I think I did, like, a load of laundry, or I, like, tidied up the living room. But I am someone who, like, low-key enjoys cleaning, so it really wasn't that bad for me. And again, I had to, but, like, in the morning, I, like, looked at the dishes in the sink, and I was like, nope, not touching them. Or I looked at the trash, and I was like, nope, not taking it out. Like, this is my do-nothing today. I'm forcing myself to sit in bed or sit on the couch. I didn't want to brain rot. Like, I didn't want to just mindlessly scroll or watch, like, not good YouTube content, if that makes sense. But, like, I watched, like, some fun YouTube videos, and then I watched, like, some feel-good YouTubers that I like, that I would say is, like, wholesome content that doesn't rot my brain. And I tried to read. I finally found a book. I was in a reading slump for, like, a month or two. I just could not find a book that I wanted to finish. I don't know if I was, like, burnt out on the fantasy genre, or if because my mental health was so poor, I just, like, couldn't finish a freaking book. But I finally found one that, like, caught my interest, and I was reading it, and I just had a great day. And then by the end of the day, because I had spent so much time doing absolutely nothing and forcing myself to do nothing, I even told my boyfriend, I was like, nope, I'm doing nothing today. I think he asked me to do something, and I was like, nope, it's my do nothing day. I'm not doing anything. So that was really helpful. And then spending the next day after that period of rest to then do my chores. Oh, and also on my do nothing day off, it rained. I love rain. I love a good thunderstorm. I find it very cleansing and renewing. My cat is mad at me because the door is closed, so if you hear him meow, I'm sorry. But it rained, and so I forced myself to just, like, sit on the balcony and listen to the rain and do nothing and let my brain turn off. You know, you don't have to sit and meditate with, like, your legs crossed. I think we as a society are coming to terms with that, like, meditation doesn't necessarily have to mean, you know, what you think a Buddhist monk does. But, like, I just sat and just let my brain turn off and listened to the rain on, like, the metal roofs and watched the fog come over the mountains. And that's what I needed, right? Because I'm a nature girly, and that's what makes me feel better. So yeah, and then the next day, I spent time doing errands that would make me feel really good. So then, you know, I did the grocery run. I got myself good food that I knew would make me feel good when I ate it. And I think I got, like, a few things for the apartment. And then I also made a long list of everything I wanted. I think I feel also very overwhelmed because I'm in between jobs, so I can't buy everything I want, because I have to budget a lot better right now. So I can't just buy everything for my apartment I want. And so reassuring myself that, you know, it's just for now. Like, it's okay. I'll survive. I'll get through this. And also just writing it down in, like, a note on my notes app on my phone has been really helpful. Of, like, anytime something crosses my brain and I'm like, ooh, I want that. Like, if I'm watching a YouTube video and someone has, like, a cool pair of shoes, I don't know, I wouldn't do it that specifically, but if anytime I thought of something, like, more than once, and I was like, ooh, I want that, I just wrote it down. And so I made a big, long list. I compiled it over those, like, 2 days. And then at the end of the second day, I kind of went over and, like, bolded the ones that are higher priority. And that also really helped for some reason, helped me feel better, is because I felt like I had direction. And I felt like it was all out of my brain. There really is something to say about, like, brain dumping. And then shout out to my lovely boyfriend. He was really gentle with me, and really took care of me in my chaos and let me be and do what I needed to do, and also was, like, really affirmative and great. So lean on yours. And my friends too. My best friend, she was like, we can call anytime you want. So obviously leaning on support, right? And I think that's, like, common knowledge, so I don't want to, like, give advice that, like, you know, you've heard before, but really truly just setting aside a given amount of time to temporarily put down your responsibilities is extremely helpful and made me feel a lot better. And then also making sure that time where I was doing nothing was actually nurturing time, and not just rotting on YouTube or endlessly scrolling. Like, I think I forced myself to put down my phone too, and I didn't scroll on social media. Sometimes social media is really fun, right? Like, I'm not anti-social. I love social media. I find a lot of inspiration on social media. Literally, my Raining Tulips Instagram account, everyone I follow has been perfectly curated, and I've worked really hard to make a For You page that I'm excited to get on and doesn't feel like brain rot and is all like actually applies to my interests. So yeah, and like, again, watching the rain, and I think on my next day off I'm going to repot my plants, and so just engaging in your hobbies is also really important. I don't know, did I say anything new and interesting? Probably not, but it was impactful for me, so hopefully it'll be an impactful reminder for someone else, or maybe it will be new information to someone else that, like, yeah, the world doesn't stop, but like, we can force it to pause. It doesn't feel like we can force it to pause, but we can. And really reminding yourself that the world will wait. Like, I think this is gonna sound so bad, but like, I feel like we think that we're way more important than we really are, and so we get really overwhelmed, like, oh, my family won't function without me, or oh, my work won't function without me. But like, it will. So you're allowed to take that time for yourself, and you're allowed to not put as much effort in, because it will still go smoothly. And kind of taking that pressure off yourself is also very nice. So yeah, that's what I did. So again, like, if if the trash doesn't get taken out today, if it's really not bothering you that much, if you can like leave the room and not look at it, do that. It will still be there tomorrow. But you know what won't be? Your peace of mind, if you don't take this time to not do, pardon my French, jack shit. Everything will be there tomorrow. So you really need to focus on yourself, and you'll be here tomorrow, but your mental health won't be, if that makes sense. I don't know if that made sense. That's my little tangent. I do want to talk about this page a little bit as well, because I don't know, this layout isn't exactly new, but it's new. So I didn't carve as much room at the top for just like a blank date, which I think looks fine. I still had room for the date. And then you probably saw me fiddling. I had a lot of different images. I was trying not to print any new images. I want to work through kind of all the stuff I have, or at least like go through it and get rid of the pictures I'm not actually using. But I was fiddling with the layout a lot, and I've been saving this picture for kind of like, I don't know, an edgy article if I came across one, and so it just fit. And I really like how it was in the middle. And then I'm currently journaling about, my thoughts, my feelings, my reactions, kind of just writing questions and notes for myself of things I want to look up later, in this case, of like, oh, I've never heard this before, I want to learn more about vampire lore to see, because I actually really like fairy lore and kind of know a lot about it. So like digging into stuff like that and seeing if vampires are ever mentioned and stuff like that. But I really liked, and then the quote at the bottom is a completely different quote, so I sectioned off that column. You probably saw later. I was going to leave this page just blank for journaling, because I've done that once before and I liked how it looked, but then I added this quote and wanted to reflect on it too, so I did section it off. And I really like this page because it looks really full. I think I intended on using a little bit of a darker pen to make it more kind of impactful, but I just forgot. I just grabbed the closest pen, but that's okay. But I don't know, I just really like how it looks in the middle. And then as soon as I finish this little journaling section, you will see that then I start to go in and add my little details. And so the bottom corner of this page has the weight of like the design. I don't know how else to describe it other than like I made it heavy towards the right bottom. That's where like there's a lot of visual change and less simplicity, if that makes sense. Art people will know what I'm talking about. It's heavier. And I have never positioned the weight of a Commonplace page like this before. And I just liked it. I just liked how it looked. It was different. It was different for me. So maybe in your journals this week you should try a new layout. Obviously, and then if you hate it, you should go watch that video where I redo a journal page that I hate, because creativity is important, and sometimes we need to do stuff that we hate and then redo it, and that's okay. But you should explore different layouts and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm out of things to talk about. I either totally overestimate how much time I'm going to talk about something or really underestimate it. I'll talk to you about the book I read. It was called The Last Known Hermit or something. And it talks about this guy who was living in the forest in Maine for literally 25 years. 25 years. Like literally just on the verge of society. But he was a hermit. He never spoke to a human soul in 25 years. And he survived in the woods for 25 years by himself. And they finally found him. And it was just a really interesting book. I guess I was burnt out on fantasy because the nonfiction really hit. And again, maybe it's because it like applied to my personal interest, but then I went back to another fantasy book. I just picked up After the Woods. I just started it, so I don't really have a lot of thoughts and feelings about it. And then I've been reading my own book that I wrote for comfort. My favorite character. I don't know why I get so embarrassed to talk about this, but like I literally created a character and I love him, and he is a comfort character for me. And he's mine. I wrote him. So of course I'm gonna love him, but he's like my favorite character that I've ever written. In one of my books I wrote from his perspective, and it's so fun to listen to guys fall in love with girls. It's great. So I've been reading that kind of for comfort too, which has been nice. Yeah. It's been good. So we're getting out of our reading slump. Things take time. I think that's another really important mental health reminder, is that everything is a roller coaster. My boyfriend always says that like joy is temporary, and I always find that such an interesting perspective, because I always say that pain is temporary, but we're both right, because emotions and the human experience is a roller coaster. You're meant to go up and go down and be neutral sometimes. And so if you're feeling really low, it sounds so cheesy, but you just have to remind yourself that like it won't last forever, and that this is just a phase. And then I think that kind of releases yourself from the need to get out of it so quickly. Actually, yeah, that's true. If you know that something's going to pass, eventually you're usually more patient for it, or at least I am. So kind of reminding myself that like this isn't temporary has been very helpful in terms of letting me then relax into my sadness or relax into my bad mood, and thus lets it get out faster, get out of my body, and then it doesn't stay there. You can't rush yourself through your feelings. And even, I mean, it's sad to say that like joy and happiness is temporary, but it is. But also I think that you can foster both, and you can choose to foster happiness by taking mental health days and doing nothing days. So yeah, I hope that was insightful. I hope you got something out of that. And like I said, I hope you're having a lovely day, because you 100% deserve it.